Bro, LeBron scored 46 last night. He's gonna get this fucking record in like the next 2 weeks. They play again tonight. Yeah, oh, I want to stop my laundry, or at least shut my door. Look at that sounds. How does my mic sound? I can't hear you now. Okay. All right, I'm just going back to your chat. I'm gonna full screen that. 3, 2, 1 on Audacity. All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to episode 17 of the Unintentional Grounding podcast. My name is Ian. As always, I am joined by my good friend, my homie, Josh Hoffman. What's up, Josh? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the odds are like plus. They're like the odds to win the Super Bowl right now with these Final Four teams all remaining in are like all very similar. And I think, like you said, it's the first time it's been this close in a very long time. I don't really remember when there wasn't at least one or two clear favorites out of the Final Four. So super excited about that because it really does feel like any combination of results could happen. But yeah, with that being said, let's just jump in. The first game is at 3 p.m. on Sunday. That game is the NFC Conference Championship between the 49ers and the Eagles. This game is in Philly. Philly was 14-2 or something like that on the regular season, 14-3. And they locked up the 1 seed. They are 2.5-point favorites against the 49ers, which more or less makes sense because, you know, the 2.5 points pretty much implies, yeah, they're getting the standard boost of home field advantage, maybe minus a little bit, just because on a neutral field, people would probably favor the 49ers, I guess. But yeah, this is an interesting game. Brock Purdy just keeps doing it for us. Like, got it done against the Cowboys, although like he definitely didn't have a flawless game by any stretch of the imagination. But like he played better than Dak Prescott, for example, who's a guy that people often consider to be a good quarterback, and maybe he's actually not. But I think Brock Purdy, like at this point, it's pretty clear. Brock Purdy is capable of winning the Super Bowl with this team. They just need to win 2 more games, and obviously those will be the 2 toughest games. McCaffrey was limited throughout the game, it seemed. Definitely dealing with some sort of lower body injury. And, you know, obviously you want him at full health, but I really do think if any team can sort of patch together good depth at the running back position, it's probably the 49ers because they have like Elijah Mitchell as their backup, and then they have like some other good guys behind him. But yeah, like right now, I just think it's interesting to think about like the 49ers as underdogs just because their offense is so electric. But the Eagles are certainly the best team they'll have played all season. So I truly don't know which way this goes. I do think it'll probably be low scoring. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see Jalen Hurts facing a really good defense because like everyone's obviously high on the Eagles after they kind of thrashed the Giants, but the Giants are like a team that as a defense you can run all over them, and that's kind of what happened. And I just don't see that happening with San Francisco. So if the Eagles struggle to run the ball, how is their passing game going to look? And is Jalen Hurts 100%? I just think if you had to put a gun to my head, I still think I'm taking the Niners, but I think it's super, super close. How do you see this game, and like, what are you excited to look out for? Yeah, I mean that makes that makes sense. I see why you're saying that, just because I think both of those defenses I think are the best of the four, but there is some intangible about having a guy like Burrow or Mahomes as your quarterback going into the Super Bowl, and in either of them will be the best quarterback, like in the matchup. You know, whoever goes forward. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the best quarterback versus the best defense. We saw that a couple of years ago when the Chiefs won their first Super Bowl against the 49ers, where that Niners defense was definitely the better of the two, between the Chiefs defense and the Niners defense in that Super Bowl. This was 2019. They made it to the Super Bowl and lost to Mahomes when in 2019 when Tyreek was still on the team. That was Mahomes' first Super Bowl. Anyways, yeah, I mean that they, Tyreek Hill had that famous play. It's like they always talked about it after the Super Bowl, where like it was called Wasp. Do you not remember that? Where like it was like a pretty much a deep ball. It was sometime in the fourth quarter, and then so like the Chiefs went ahead late, um, struggled on offense for a lot of the game, but went ahead late, and then like 49ers weren't able to catch up. So like the score ended up not being close, but it was close for most of the game. And yeah, I could totally see that happening this year if like with either of these AFC teams, who we'll talk about in that matchup in a sec. But I do think that the AFC has the quarterback advantage, but the NFC has the defense advantage. So yeah, I don't know. I just have a really hard time picking against the 49ers in general. Um, but because like we've seen this season, like where the Eagles record, like their record is probably justified, but it's not like you can't poke holes in some of their play. Like that game against the Texans, I don't remember what week that was. That game was like super close the whole time, and like, or until at least the end or the second half. And I just feel like the Eagles have had more moments where you question whether they are like the Super Bowl caliber team versus the 49ers, who pretty much have only had like one or two bad sort of performances all season, and like, or three, and like that one of them was like that week one against the Bears where like it was a fucking monsoon and Trey Lance was still the quarterback, and nobody could do anything, and I think they lost that game to the Bears somehow. But yeah, exactly. So I just feel like in the second half of the year, I have less reason to doubt the 49ers than I do the Eagles. And honestly, like the 49ers might be better with Brock Purdy than with Jimmy G. I think we've either mentioned that or alluded to that before. But anyone who's like worried about Brock Purdy, well, the alternative would be Jimmy G, who I'm just not convinced that he'd be better for them right now. So yeah, I still like I said, I lean 49ers slightly, but this is not a matchup where I would be shocked if either team won. Just on this topic before we move on, I just happened to check my phone because I wanted to look at the money percentages, which I'll pull up in a second. But I just got a tweet notification from Adam Schefter that Debo, McCaffrey, and Elijah Mitchell didn't practice today. So that's interesting. Granted, it is only Wednesday, so I'm sure those guys will all play, and I'm sure they'll probably be fine for the most part. But that is worth monitoring going forward. Today is Wednesday, the 25th. But yeah, I just wanted to pull up the percentages real quick, just because I was curious about where the public was on this game, and I'm pretty surprised. 91% of 69% of bets and 91% of money are on the Eagles spread, and pretty much the same percentages for their money line as well. So the public is all over the Eagles, and it seems like maybe big money is on the Eagles as well. I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I am a little surprised. I just feel like this Niners team is so versatile offensively. They have a great defense. They're so well coached. Nick Sirianni has never been in this position before. Shanahan has been here a ton of times. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, hasn't won any, but he's been to 2 as a one as a head coach, one as an offensive coordinator. So I don't know. I just yeah, and maybe this is the game where this is the one game where we finally start to respect Jalen Hurts as like a top 5 real life quarterback, where he wins the game for the Eagles against this super tough 49ers defense. And we're like, okay, this guy can make the throws. This guy's clutch. This guy's got it. So I guess that's probably the thing I'm most interested in seeing is like, how will Jalen Hurts rise to the occasion, assuming he's fully healthy in this matchup? But I'm really excited for this. Yeah, sure. We can start that off. We got Bengals at the Chiefs. This is 6:30 on Sunday in Kansas City. Bengals are actually 1 point favorites, and I think a lot of that is due to some question marks around the health of Patrick Mahomes, star quarterback for the Chiefs. He had a high ankle sprain, or I don't want to say just that, but he has an ankle issue of some sort after the Jaguars game. Um, it looked pretty bad, honestly. But I did see today that he did some media uh, ahead of the game, and at the podium, he wasn't wearing a boot, and he didn't seem to be that hindered. Like there wasn't like a noticeable limp or anything when he was walking out of the room or anything like that. So, and he did practice today. So I think it's obvious that he's going to play, but I think the big question is like, how hurt is he, and how hindered will he be? But yeah, I'm super excited for this game. As a big Bengals fan, you know better than anyone that Mahomes has never beaten Joe Burrow in 3 career matchups. He's 0-2 in the regular season. He lost to Burrow and the Bengals once in each of the last 2 regular seasons, and then obviously last year he lost to Joe Burrow in the playoffs in what was still one of the most confusing games ever, where the Chiefs were dominating for, the Chiefs looked like world beaters for that first half, and then forgot how to play football in the second. So that was still crazy, and I'm still salty about that. I'm sure you're not. But yeah, Mahomes has never beaten Joe Burrow in the Bengals. I feel like that is a low key piece of this. Like, I think this is it's assuming he's healthy enough to play decent football. I just feel like this is going to be a game where Mahomes is like, you guys are questioning who's the best. Like, I'm going to remind you who's the best. We'll see if that ends up being the case, but I'm super excited for this. I think we both agree the Bengals defense is slightly better than the Chiefs defense, but when it comes to matchups, I actually think this Chiefs defense might be more dangerous to the Bengals offensive weakness right now, which is the offensive line, as opposed to that Bills team last week. Because the Bills' strength is, I mean, they're a well-rounded defense, but their pass rush without Von Miller just wasn't very effective. And you could see that, especially with like the poor weather conditions, that they weren't able to get home against Burrow many times. And I kind of think, I mean, he also gets the ball out really quickly, so we got to give him credit for that. But this Chiefs pass rush is definitely much better in my opinion right now. Um, and so that could be a big factor. I think the Chiefs secondary is obviously much worse, but still solid guys, still decent guys. So I think this will be the toughest game of the year for the Bengals. And you know me, I like the Chiefs. I pretty much always like the Chiefs. Um, and I bet Chiefs at +3 adjusted line because they're home dogs. And this was back when they were 2.5 point favorites. Now they're only, or sorry, 2.5 point dogs. Now they've been bet down to being only 1 point dogs. So yeah, that's kind of my piece. What is your take on this game? I assume you're going to be riding with your Bengals and with your guy Joe Cool. But let's hear it. Brady Mahomes. Yeah, I do feel like the main reason why the money is favoring the Bengals, or the line is favoring the Bengals slightly, is because the concern of his injury, obviously, but more specifically, um, like you said, he's so his ability to make plays out of structure once the pocket is broken down. Him being Mahomes, I think the big question is like, what is the health of his leg, and how will that hinder him from being able to do that? Because the pocket will break down. First off, the Chiefs' offensive line is like very good this year. So yeah, they're gonna have their success. They're gonna have their success, and so the question is gonna be like, is his ankle healthy enough for him to get out into space on the sides of the field, use his legs to like gain that extra like 5 yards for the first down, or just like be able to throw downfield on the run on a broken play, which we've seen him do so many times, often to like Travis Kelsey or whatever, and like that could be like a chunk play off of like a broken, whatever. So it's just that's how the Chiefs tend to get a lot of their yards in these like close playoff games where the defenses are actually good. And it is a little concerning if you're a Chiefs fan in this case backer like me, who, I have some money on the Chiefs, and it's like, yeah, I really hope his ankle is going to be okay. But from everything I'm hearing on the medical side, like from what I've read on Twitter and whatnot, and my research, it really does feel like, for as bad as the injury is in name, that he will be pretty much ready to go, and will probably be like 80 to 85% Mahomes at worst, and that's still pretty damn good, right? But the question is it enough to beat the Bengals and Joe Burrow? And that's that's another level that might require a 90, 95, or 100% Mahomes. So are you talking about the Jaguars? Yeah, yeah, they just like didn't defend him, which I thought was strange. on Just on that topic, real quick, on Kelsey, the two games most recently that they've played against the Bengals, which was um, and last playoffs, he has a total of 9 catches for 81 yards and 1 touchdown over 2 games. So that's pretty bad for Kelsey standards. Like, I'm sure he's going to do better. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to do better than that, just because, well, I don't want to say I'm sure, but just the volume. Yeah. Yeah. But clearly the Bengals are doing something right, right? Like, it's still the same defensive coordinator for the Bengals, Lou Anarumo, who might be like one of the most underrated defensive coordinators, actually. And clearly they Honestly, I just want like Juju to have a sick game because I've always loved Juju and like he's had some bad luck in his career that has led to him signing like a 1 year deal with the Chiefs and hasn't gotten paid a lot. And I just like want this dude to like get back to his like rookie and second year form. And it'll be interesting to see like how because like Kadarius Tony is another like super electric playmaker that the Chiefs have, but they haven't been using him consistently. Like his snap count is he doesn't get a ton of targets, but like when he does get targeted, he tends to be productive. So I'm wondering like maybe those guys will be the focal point of the offense if like the Bengals are able to do a good job of like limiting Kelsey again. But I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens. I just everyone in the universe right now is on the Bengals, and so I feel like that's makes me feel a little bit better about being on the Chiefs. Um, yeah, yeah, this is how it should have. It's nice to see that this was a year where the Final Four are the Final Four that should have been there, pretty much. Um, so yeah, that's our preview. I'm super excited. I think I might miss the start of the Eagles game because I'm probably gonna be on the train back to the city for the start of it, but hopefully I'll be able to catch most of it. And then I'm not leaving the couch for the Bengals Chiefs game. That's for sure. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. We will catch you all soon. Uh, Josh, you have any closing thoughts? Deuces. Are you sure this is episode 17? Yeah. Yeah, I'm bringing my laptop with me back upstairs, so I'll be able to post from there. But I probably won't be able to like the earliest I would be able to post is assuming you put it in like at noonish tomorrow. Like I'm gonna be in the hospital from 6 a.m. to like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. So I probably won't be able to post until the nighttime. I'll just let you know. Yeah, for sure. I'm just gonna upload